Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Student Zone session. We are so excited to have you tonight for our career panel. We have a lot of great guests, so I'm very happy to introduce some of them to you. But before we get started, this is our code of conduct, and just remember to be kind and friendly to each other. So with said that, I'm going to welcome our guest for tonight. I'm very excited to introduce Gabby, Haro, Bea, and Sarah. These are four Microsoft employees who have unique stories that are going to share with us for how they got to their current roles and how they combine their passion with their full-time jobs. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then I'm going to ask a couple of questions. So please feel free also to ask questions in the Q&A. And we will have time for those last questions in the last few minutes of this career panel. So I would love each of you to describe again your current role, if you want, and then what was your path to get to that role. And also you can describe if you have any side passion and how you balance somehow this passion with your work. And also what's your favorite snack that you like to have at home?
Ooh, those are some great questions, Francesca.
Wow.
All right. Hi, my name is Sarah, Sarah Guthels, and I'm just so happy to be here tonight with some of my favorite people, basically everyone you'll see on this call today. What is my current role? That's a really great question. I am currently a principal program manager at Microsoft. I've been here for about just over a year, and I'm on the student developer and Reactor team. And basically, what we do is we develop content. We partner with external orgs. We partner with community orgs. We partner with folks like NASA, and we build content for students and for novice developers. So this might be folks who are just getting into coding or software development, or also folks who maybe already are familiar with it, but want to get into a new language like Python for data science or something like that. What was my path that led me here? Well, I did not know about coding until I got to college. I always wanted to be a doctor. When I was little, I rubbed my mom's wrist one day and she's like, "It feels better." And I'm like, "That's it. I'm going to be a medical doctor." That's what's going to happen. I did get that doctor tag, but not exactly a medical doctor. I ended up getting a PhD. And the reason I did that is I got to college. I started taking this chemistry course, and it was all about memorization. And the way that I perceived medicine, it was about discovery, and it was about creativity, and it was about problem solving. And while they do that once you get into the upper levels, in those intro classes, that's not really what I felt like it was about. So I started taking some other classes. I took a computer science class, and I loved it. I loved it because I completely failed at it. I mean, I passed the class, but I could not get a code, like a program to run correctly on the 20th time, even when the TA was sitting there with the correct code right next to it saying, "They look exactly the same. I don't know why it's not working, Sarah." I just loved it because it was a sense of community. It was a sense of problem solving, and it was just so much fun. So since I didn't get a chance to do it until college, I decided to stay for a PhD because I started doing, oh, it looks like my Teams Live might have gone a little wonky. Okay, I'm going to send Haro. Yeah. Are you comfortable going?
Yeah, I can go.
Yes, Haro, please introduce yourself. And yeah.
Sure. All right. This is a tough act to follow, Sarah. But hello, my name is Haro. I'm a dev lead for Minecraft Education Edition, which is a version of the popular game Minecraft that we use in classrooms to teach a wide variety of subjects, from history and language arts to coding and learning to code Python, learning to code with block-based coding. How I got here is kind of a long story. first learned CS in high school. There was a computer science elective, and I remember the very first time I typed System out to print line Hola Mundo, because I grew up in Mexico, and so my first print was in Spanish. And then the computer printed it, and that was just mind-blowing. That, wow, I made the computer do something. And so I decided to study that in college, and then I got a few internships here at Microsoft, decided to join full-time. Eventually, I joined a program called TEALS, which is a volunteer program that Microsoft sponsors that pairs software engineers with high school teachers that want to teach computer science but don't know computer science yet. And so it's a way to get computer science into more high schools. I'm really passionate about education and making sure everybody has access to computer science education. So it was a really cool program for me to volunteer for. And one of the other volunteers ended up being the developer lead for Minecraft Education. And so later he reached out to me and he said, hey, are you still into education? Do you want to help build technology for education? And so that was just kind of a match made in heaven. And I was like, oh my God, yes, that's like my perfect job. So that's kind of how I married, the thing I'm passionate about, which is education, making it accessible, making it better for everybody, and, being a developer here at Microsoft. And my favorite snack is cookies of all kinds.
I love cookies too. Wow, that's a beautiful story. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And who wants to go next between Bea and Gabby?
I can go.
Nice.
So my name is Bea, and I'm a program manager at Microsoft, and I deal with a service as a platform for hosting engineering bots. And so what we do is to make the developer experience more secure and compliant at the PR or pull request level. So it's been very fun. In terms of how I got to the role that I have today, similar, I learned how to code in university. And that was like super frustrating because it would take me like 3, 10, 20 tries in order to get that code to run. But it was just fun, like to keep trying and be able to tell the computer what to do versus just expect the computer to do something. Just the fact that you can play around and tell some instructions and somebody can listen to you, that was just fun. And one of the greatest things that happened to me in college is was able to open a computer and see how it was, like all the pieces that it had inside. I knew that this was the right thing that I wanted to continue. In terms of passion, I love helping out to underrepresented communities. So Sarah mentioned the Reactor. So the Reactor is a place at Microsoft where we have events with the community. And so I run a nonprofit where we teach kids how to code. And so with the Reactor, that's the place where we normally take students, we teach them how to code. And at the end of the day, it's just like, can we show role models to kids that might not have a role model that looks like them, that speaks like them, to see, so they can see themselves in our shoes. So that has been just a very fun passion. I love equal access to education, computer science. I wish I would have had somebody in my middle school or my high school that would have come and say, hey, by the way, there's this cool thing called computer science. You can make video games, you can make your own music. So that's what I do. That's how I pay it forward. And in terms of my favorite snacks, I'm all about fruits, any type of fruits like blueberries, strawberries, guava, anything. And I love my Cadbury chocolate.
That sounds awesome. Wow. And last but not least, Gabby, welcome.
Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Gabby Ponce, and I'm a producer for the Tools and Tech Art team at Turn 10 Studios, which are the video game creators of Forza. How did I get here? So I also didn't know what computer science was until university, where I happened to take my first class. Even though I was a math major, it was a requirement. So I went, this is like math, but way faster. It was amazing. Mm-hmm. And so I kept going. And then I learned that you had to take internships if you're in university to get like a full-time job. It's really like helpful. So I went in as a developer and as a program manager. And then I got a full-time job with Fox, where I worked for years. And then I made a game with some friends. And I was really confused because I was having a lot of fun, but I didn't really like playing video games or very many of them. And I was like, what is happening? Who am I? And then I realized that it's because a video game project combines the three things that I love in a project. And that's culture, art, and technology, and kind of like smooshes them all together. So I started interviewing for different studios, and eventually I got recommended for my current position, and that's how I got here, which is really cool. Side passion, so I'm going to cheat and do two. One is also uplifting the Latino community. I currently integrate that in my job by leading the Latinx community at Xbox. Which is really fun, and I get to do a lot of internal and external communities with game developers everywhere, trying to help them navigate the industry. And then my other side passion is art, design, and storytelling, which is currently hard to integrate in my job because I'm not in a creative position. I lead projects as a producer, but I do a lot of side projects with friends. And I take art classes online right now, basically to improve and explore that side passion. Finally, my favorite snack is tacos, but some people say that that's not a snack. So I'm also going to go with tostones, which are fried plantains for those who don't know.
That's a beautiful story. And I love how all of you basically have this connection with your own communities, and somehow you share this value of giving back. So somehow you got far from where you started, but you don't forget who is just starting, who is in these communities, and how you can share your knowledge, passion, experience with them. So that's a really nice learning from me. And by the way, Sarah, I didn't forget your snack. So what's your favorite snack? Which is very important.
Let's hope I don't break this again. I'm going to blame my build buddy on anything that's going wonky tonight. Yeah, so basically, let me just wrap up super quickly. I ended up doing PhD. I started some companies. I wrote some books. I went and worked at GitHub, and now I work here at Microsoft, and that's my story. My side passion is education. I love teaching. I love learning. My favorite thing is to help people feel supported, inspired, just all of those positive words, and most importantly, have access. And access doesn't necessarily mean that it's free and available on the internet, because that not everyone has access to a computer or an internet connected device. Access also means things like creating programs in local libraries or in local community centers that can bring that access to the students. So I really care about that as well. And that's my side passion and why I ended up on this team at Microsoft. And my favorite snack is probably hot Cheetos. I ate way too many hot Cheetos. I was going to show you a bag of hot Cheetos. I already ate all the hot Cheetos. So sorry.
I love hot Cheetos too. Wow, you are all such an inspiration really for us tonight. And so I want to go back to Haro and ask you, what was your most positive influence on where you are today? If you can share with us a little bit more.
Yeah, it's such a hard question. There are so many different people that have helped me get to the point where I am today. One that really sticks out is my very first computer science professor in college, Professor Beth Simon. And it's because when I was a freshman, it was like the second week of school and the career fair was happening, which is when a bunch of companies come recruit students. And she told us all to go. And I remember thinking, why would I go? I'm a freshman. I know nothing. Who would want to hire me? And she really pushed us and said, no, please, like, print your resume and go anyway. And so I did. And that's how I ended up with my internship at Microsoft. And so I think she was definitely a huge influence on me.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, most of the time we have these, positive influence from, I would say, the academic world, like because we are really or just students and we're looking for jobs or just inspiration on where to get started, to look for a job. And a lot of professors are really there for you and they help you with many different tasks, not just, to prepare your resume, but also to understand who to speak with in order to understand better where you want to go. And also networking is very important. How about you, Gabby? Did you have any positive influence from industry or from academia, from your university?
Yeah, I also have too many, and I'm also going to cheat and give you multiple answers. So also Dr. Beth Simon, because she was also my first computer science teacher. Hado and I went to university at the same time. But also two people on this panel, Sarah and Hado. I think the three of them were kind of my triforce that got me through a lot of the university, like, emotional support, technical support. They're just like my girls and my mentors. I mean, of course, my parents and my family have been really important to me. They shaped, they really told me how important it was to go to school and to just echarle ganas, like give it all you got. And then most recently, my narrative game design, like girls club, have really been supporting me as I explore beyond my current role. So.
Yeah. No, and I totally agree. Sometimes, these influencers, mentors, if you want, are there at the beginning, but somehow they're there always. So every time that, you are going through something, you can always go back and, ask them to have a chat or meet for a coffee. And it's somehow is your structure really to build up your career, but not only career, really, who you are and your passions and your happiness. So in terms of the struggles, I want to ask Bea, if you want to share with us one of the biggest struggles that you had in your career, and most importantly, how you solve it, how you face it.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest struggles had been learning to fail fast and then recover and have that growth mindset. I think at the beginning it was just like everything had to be perfect, right? Like it just have to go from start to end and it just had to work. And if it would fail, it was just hard. But something that I've learned, I haven't mastered, but what I've learned is it's okay to fail. And it's actually encouraged to fail, but do it fast and then get up and just try something new, experiment something else, try and move forward. So that has been a great learning. And here at Microsoft, we're all encouraged to have learn it all versus know it all mentality, and that have helped. And the other struggle was at the beginning, I wanted a community where I could speak my language, which is Spanish. I'm from Venezuela, and the Hola community, which I've been part pretty much since I started, it has been just a great positive influence that has helped me. I wouldn't say a struggle necessarily in like the language or anything, but like that sense of community where you're looking for people that have been longer in the company that can give you advice. So that has been great about just because I could connect.
Yeah, and I can relate a lot to what you just said about, knowing how to learn from failure, which is something that probably you're not really exposed to when you are a student, but then when you start working in the industry, and it's something that you have to face. So, and I agree with you that Microsoft is a wonderful place, environment to do this, because you're really you really can learn fast and learn from failures, which is the most important thing. Like we are all trying to embrace that type of culture. And I want to ask also a follow-up question, and actually to Sarah. Sarah, first of all, yes, I want to know if you had a big struggle in your career, how you you try to solve it, and most importantly, I would like to know from you if you wish to you knew something before becoming a professional that eventually could have helped you with this struggle.
Yeah, that's a great question. So yes, when have I not struggled? A few hours before my session with Francesca today, earlier in the student zone, I was struggling and I felt like I was about to fail, and we jumped on a call together and she helped walk me through things that I thought I didn't know, but I actually did. Yes. I think whether failure is something that you really are failing at or failure is something that's in your head, I face it literally every day. And the thing, I saw some comments over in the Q&A, the thing that gets me through failure is the community. And of course, my video is not going through, so I'm going to turn off my video and see if that helps.
But we can hear you very, very well.
Okay. I'm hoping, I don't think they can. So, Francesca, I'm going to send you live.
Yeah. Yeah, no worries, no worries. I mean, I agree with you that, as you said, and as I mentioned also before, Microsoft is really a place where you learn from your failures. And what I really like the most about my team, for example, right now, as Sarah mentioned, is that you can reach out to other teams. So when you feel like that you are in a position where you need support or you need to ask a question, it's nice because you can reach out not only to your close peers, like people in your team, but also to people in other teams. So that's type of community that we were all referring to at the beginning of this panel actually is also inside Microsoft, which is great. At this point, I would love to look at some of the questions that we receive. I see so many questions, and I would love to start with one question that I think it's very, very helpful, because some of you mentioned the importance of internship during your path, and also in order to learn and understand also what you really wanted to do. So some of the question here is like, how much important, in your opinion, is to have some working experience during studies? And of course, this question was like, how can I try to get an internship at Microsoft? So probably we want to focus first on the first part. Aro, why you don't answer? Did you have any working experience while you were studying? Did you have an internship, and so on?
Yeah, I interned every summer. Every summer of my college years. I suggest it to all my students. It's so important. You learn so much more, I think, in an internship than you do in any class. That's my personal opinion, because it teaches you what it's like to work in industry. It teaches you how to work with other team members, other professionals, and it also teaches you if it's something you want to do. You know, I know Gabby did a few different positions in her internship. She did some as dev, some as PM, and it helped her figure out like which one of those roles she really wanted to pursue. And so absolutely, if you have the opportunity to do an internship, you should absolutely go for it. I find it so much more helpful than something like summer classes. How do you get there? So what I tell my students is when I'm recruiting, I'm looking for passion. I'm not looking for experience. And so I don't care if you know C++. I do care if you are excited to work here. I care if you have side projects that show me that you're excited about coding and excited about technology. And those side projects don't have, like, you know, they can be a website or an app or a video game that you build. They can also be a tech blog where you explain to me something that you're excited about. They can be a really cool school project that you feel really proud of. So side projects are one thing. Lots of teachers let you do research assistantships with them. And so those are also great ways to get experience working for somebody else and things you can talk about with your recruiter and your interviewer. I don't know if other people on the panel probably have some great advice as well.
And before getting there, by the way, Aro, you gave us a wonderful answer, because you also answered another question that was related to the internship one. That there is Anthony who is asking, what can I do to really set myself apart from other candidates for positions? So not only for internship, but for positions. And I agree with you. Sometimes just showing the fact that you have passion, and besides being like a good professional, good student, you also show the fact that you have your unique personality to bring to the table, meaning that you are the real yourself. You know, you try to be the best version of yourself, and I think this is also something very, very important. So yes, I wanted to ask, of course, Bea and Gabby, if you have anything else to add to this, please share with us so that we can learn from you.
What I would add is just make sure that you're yourself. You know, something that's very in like at Microsoft is like, be yourself, do what you do what you love, be who you are. And I think sometimes when I've gone on recruiting trips, sometimes the students might be scared because they're talking to someone from Microsoft. But like, look, I was in your shoes too, and what we want to see is those side projects are super important. Let's say that you don't have an internship necessarily for this summer, but then go and try, maybe reach out to a nonprofit, a local nonprofit in your area where you can bring your tech skills, or help out somehow to somewhere that's local that you could still do tech world, staying in your social distances. That's important. And then one of the cool things is like just be you. I think like we're also encouraged, for example, if you love like having like blue hair and piercings and tattoos and that kind of stuff, awesome, be you. We're looking for people that look exactly like you. So just don't be afraid. Just be yourself, try your best, and definitely show that passion.
So yeah, I would be a total agree. Disney fanatic. That's allowed. That's totally allowed. Okay, cool, awesome. Just checking.
Yeah, I just wanted to build on what Bea said about, you know, if especially within video games, like we get so many people who are always like, how do I get into Xbox? How do I make video games? I want to do this thing. I'm so excited. That's how I got into computer science. You should build a game. Like, go build a game. You'd be surprised how many people want to get into this part of the industry and have never even tried to build a game. And there are so many online resources, like on Unity, on what is it, code.org. Like, there's so much teaching of computer science and the arts that's being done through games because people love it and it's a great tool for teaching all that. So go make a game. If you don't have a college degree, or you're trying to become a program manager and you don't have coding experience, like it's still possible. Like go get the experience that you can. Mm-hmm. And always, you know, have like your pitch when you meet someone and you're in an interview or you meet someone from Microsoft. Like if we met on the street and you're like, oh my God, you work for Xbox? Like, let's talk. How do I get in? Like pitch to me why like you should work there. Like make it like, let them know why they're missing out on you. And, you know, get whatever education you can, even if it's not at a university or college. I know that stuff's expensive. There's a lot of online stuff that you can learn, and people that are ready to help or that are ready to join on a project with you. So more on that if there's questions.
Yes, no, and I totally agree. Another common question that a lot of people are asking is about mentors. So, you know, sometimes you are a student or you are just a young professional and you already have a mentor. Again, as we mentioned before, from your college, from school, or from, you know, from work. But sometimes you don't really have those type of mentors. So some people are asking, how can I find mentors? What's the best way to find them, and most importantly to approach them? So do you have any suggestions, any advice?
Probably one person who wants to take it.
Okay.
I think Sarah would have great advice.
Okay, I'll try this one more time, y'all. I'm gonna try this one more time. I'm gonna pretend like this is me breaking the internet with stuff. That's, you know, that whole thing. Mentors, you know what? I've learned just as much from mentors as I've learned from mentoring. And when it comes to mentors, I think the most important thing is to just remember that pretty much everyone out there is wanting you to succeed, right? You're not likely to find someone who doesn't want you to succeed. And I was just doing a session with Scott Hanselman earlier, and he was mentioning to our high schooler, Luann, who's co-presenting with him, that if you do find someone who seemingly doesn't want you to succeed, it's usually a problem that they're having. And so if you find someone who you would like them to be your mentor, reach out. If they don't have the time or the bandwidth, that's one thing, but it doesn't hurt to reach out. So I would say reach out. That's how I met Gabby. That's how I met Haro. I met Bea because I reached out to her because I thought she was awesome. Same with Francesca. I wanted to learn more about machine learning. I reached out to her. I consider all 4 of these amazing women mentors. And I think that I teach them something too, if I can be so bold. And that was something that was mentioned in the chat as well, is that at Microsoft, we don't all know everything. In fact, we all have something to learn and we all have something to teach. And I think if you remember that, that's how you will succeed and that's how you will find your community. And I think we're pretty much out of time, and I don't mean to steal the show, but I do want to make sure that you all please fill out our survey. We're coming towards the end of build, and the purpose of our survey is to make sure that we're building sessions that you care about. We want to make sure that when you spend your time, whether it's 10:30 at night, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., noon, wherever you are in the world, that you're spending your time with us because it's valuable to you. We will put our survey links in the chat. Make sure that you use our session code COM217, COM217. And there are a ton of resources on our GitHub repo for Microsoft Student Zone, which is aka.ms/students.build, which is also linked in the chat and up on this slide if it's not too blurry for you. I want to thank everyone. I know I was a bit of a mess today, but Gabby, thank you so much for spending your evening with us and telling us a little bit about what it's like to become from a coder to a game producer. Bea, thank you so much for telling us about your journey to program management and how it wasn't necessarily the same one that Gabby, Haro, and I kind of all took because we all went to the same school. Haro, thank you so much for telling us a little bit about how you integrate education into your everyday job. And Francesca, thank you so much for leading us through this amazing panel. And thanks to everyone for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.